All right, grammar, page 676 in your student book. What is a negative? A word that makes a sentence mean no is called the negative. The word no, no one, nobody, none, nothing, nowhere, and never are negatives. I would also say, you can probably say nada is also a word that is a negative. The word not and contractions made with not are also negatives. We should never use two negatives together in a sentence. Here's an example. There weren't no states in which women could vote. All right, weren't and no, contraction with not, and a word that's a negative. Doesn't sound right, does it? Sound like a hillbilly. All right, here's the correct way. There weren't any states in which women could vote, or there were no states in which women could vote. See how that makes it sound so much better. Here's another double negative. Esther Morris wouldn't never give up hope. We have the contraction with not and a negative word. Instead, here's the correct way. Esther Morris wouldn't ever give up hope. Or you could say Esther Morris would never give up hope. All right, you can clearly hear that double negatives, two negatives together in a sentence, does not sound right. I would like you to do the try this box. You are going to read each sentence, tell whether it has one or two negatives. If it has two negatives, you need to remove one of the negatives and rephrase it so that it sounds and makes sense. You're going to pause the video and work on these 4 sentences with your learning adult and come back when you're done. All right, sometimes you can join a verb and the word not to make a contraction. As you edit your writing, make sure that you have not used two negatives in one sentence. So here's example. My Aunt Leona hasn't let no one hold her back. No challenge isn't too big for her to accept. All right, instead, the corrected sentences sound like this. My Aunt Leona hasn't let anyone hold her back. No challenge is too big for her to accept. You can hear that sounds so much better. All right, so connecting to writing, as you edit your explanation, look for negatives. If you find two negatives in any sentence, rewrite the sentence to eliminate the double negative. All right, we're going to do a quick review. Relative pronouns stand for nouns and introduce clauses that tell about nouns. They include who, whom, which, and that. A relative adverb introduces a clause that tells about a place, a time, or a reason. It can include where, when, and why. So in these sentences, we're going to work to identify the relative pronouns and the relative adverbs in each. All right? So, she was the hero who won women the vote. Remember, I said that relative pronouns can include who, whom, which, and that, and relative adverbs include where, when, and why. So what is she was the hero who won women the vote? Where is the relative pronoun or adverb in that sentence? Right, the word who is the relative adverb. Pronoun. It's a relative pronoun. How about it was a joyous day when she declared victory? This tells about a time, and this is a relative adverb. The word when, this is our word that we're looking for. Turn to page 298 in your reader's notebook. We're going to practice some more with relative pronouns and adverbs. Up here in the top box, it gives you the words that you're looking for that can begin phrases that you're looking for. Whose, whom, which, and that, where, when, and why. All right, so here's a clause telling what kind of girl Esther was. Esther was a smart girl who wanted to do all she could. Here's a clause telling why Esther wanted to do things. When adults said, girls don't do that, Esther only wanted to do that thing more. All right? So here on 1 through 4, you're going to underline the clause that tells which one or what kind. Circle the word that begins the clause. So here we're looking for a whole set of words like the examples here with the bolded words. In 5 and 6, you're going to underline that clause that tells where, when, or why, and circle the word that begins the clause. So they have this split up into pronouns up here and adverbs down here. Okay, so let's do the first one together. Esther was born into a family that included 11 children. We're looking for our relative pronoun there. Starts with the word that and includes that included 11 children. That is our whole phrase right there. Okay, so that starts it, included 11 children, tells us what kind of family or which family she was part of. All right, so you're going to do 2 through 4, and then in 5 and 6 you're doing the same thing, except for you're looking for the clause that tells where, when, or why. Make sure to have your learning adult check your work to make sure that you are doing accurate work in your review of pronouns and relative adverbs.